Hello everyone, I'm Rafe Lawson, Executive Director of the Profitability Analytics Center of Excellence, and it's my pleasure to be here today with Tejas Parikh, who will be speaking today on transforming FP&A with Power BI, a case study in board reporting excellence. Of those of you who are not familiar with PACE, we're the Profitability Analytics Center of Excellence. It's a group of volunteered professionals dedicated to helping organizations make better, more informed decisions through the use of data analytics. We do this through the use of integrated causal models following PACE's profitability analytics framework. If you'd like to become a member, it's free, and you get access to our many other resources, including webinars, podcasts, articles, ebooks, and interest groups, and more. So if you'd like to become a member, go to profitability-analytics.org and sign up. So Tejas Parikh is the founder and lead consultant at XR Business Consulting. He's helped CFOs and finance leaders bridge the gap between financial planning and business strategy. With over 20 years of experience at companies like GE Healthcare, Vodafone, Unilever, Dixons, and Whitbread, he has led large-scale FP&A transformations, implemented automations, and streamlined financial consolidations. Before we get started, there are a couple housekeeping items I wanted to mention. First, that the session is being recorded, so please remain on mute with your video off. Tejas would like to answer questions throughout the presentation, so if you have questions, please feel free to enter them in the chat feature. New to this PACE webinar, we are awarding certificates of attendance for those who would like one. If you'd like to receive a certificate for your attendance today, please make sure your first and last name are used when you sign in. If you do need to edit your name, if your name's not listed on your screen, click Participants at the bottom of your screen, then hover over your name on the list. Click the three dots, and there's an option to rename. So having said that, over to you, Tejas.
Thank you, Reef. Thanks a lot to you and to PACE for giving me this opportunity to share one of the case studies that we have implemented. So without further ado, I'd like to get on with the presentation, and because I've got a bit of a demo to do during the process as well. As Reef highlighted, please ask me questions in the chat, or if you would like to unmute yourself, but definitely in the chat, ask me as many questions as you like as we go along, because as I make points, if you would like me to clarify something, ask me there and then, because that way there will be others who will be thinking about the similar points, so we can cover it as we are going along. So I'd like if you can ask me questions as we are going along. With that, let's start there. Okay, so today's webinar is about basically transforming FP&A using Power BI. What I will be working with you guys is basically a case study which of an implementation that I have done and quite successfully, and we received basically a very good feedback on the same. So let's work through that. But before we go there, for those who don't know me, I am basically Tejas Parikh. I am a CIMA qualified chartered. So I come from the industry in terms of finance. I have an MBA in finance as well. Plus, I'm of late. Last 6 years, I've acquired some certifications as well. As Reef highlighted, I've worked with businesses like Nielsen, GE Healthcare, Vodafone, where I've delivered centers of excellence, board level dashboard implementation, building analytical tools, and done business transformation programs, which has helped businesses actually grow. After basically being in the industry for almost 11, 12 years, I moved on the other side where I started Akshar Business Consulting. We've done, again, investment appraisal models for Whitbread, which is the owners of Premier Inn, done Anaplan implementation for Yo Sushi for Xerox, done Power BI and Anaplan implementation as combined. LOD done Power BI implementation as well. So today the case study that I'll be talking to you guys about is basically related to LOD, which is lawyers on demand. It's a service provider for legal, obviously legal require businesses that need legal help. And they're around 120 million turnover business. And why is that important is because it is to understand that what is the size and the scale of the complexity that we were dealing with. So before I start with the case study, Reef, can we push out the first question, please?
Okay, so kind of stabilizing the number of responses. So there were 24 altogether. 4 said 0 to 3 working days. 15 or 63%, the majority said 4 to 7 working days.
Perfect.
And 5 or 21% says 7+ working days.
Perfect. That is the kind of response I was looking for. That is 63 to 21, which is almost 80% say it takes more than 4 working days to 84% say more than 4 working days to do this. So this is about lawyers on demand. They were taking 7+ working days to do their board pack. When we were having this conversation with them, actually, they had not only not done the board pack for the prior month, but they had not even done the board pack for the previous to that as well. So they were like running -2 behind just because it was just too time consuming for them. Plus, it was all in Excel. It was multiple formulae, multiple graphs and things like that, different data points, number of active projects, number of headcount. So there was financial and operational information in the board deck. So there was too many things going on, and it was consistently prone to error. And when we started stress testing it, we started highlighting the errors that they had already presented to the board in the prior board pack as well. So there was a bit of respectfully, but a bit of a mess going around where everybody's working very hard, but they don't know where they are going. Obviously, the task was to automate as much as possible, release time for analytics and commentary, provide insights, consistency, a connected picture of how the operational performance and the finance performance works together, and implement KPIs which actually reduce the number of KPIs they have, and only add some more KPIs so that they can get an actual real business operational picture. So how did we go about doing it? Our approach is very, very simple. We consistently work with the approach of problem, solution, result. The way that works is we look at business, basically a problem which was back office Excel hell. They were literally everything is in Excel and it was just madness for them. We first worked with them on data alignment, then process optimization and technology transformation. What do I exactly mean by this? Okay. So this is where the beauty lies. Data alignment, we looked at their board pack and saw how many different data sources they have. They had around 6 different systems through which the data was being pulled down into CSVs. And then the numbers were basically being massaged or worked upon to create the output for the board deck. Okay. Then there were obviously consistently places where you were doing, say, for example, revenue per lawyer, revenue per basically total headcount, gross profit per lawyer, things like that. So there was a combination of taking the HR data and combining it with basically finance data to make basically KPIs around it. Also, average things like length of each project, length of each engagement, average revenue per engagement. So there was a whole lot of KPIs which were being managed across the board. So we first focused on how many data sources. Second was basically what are the KPIs that you are showing, which do you want to lose, which do you want to keep? Is there consistent definitions, and can we get that documented so that everybody in the business understands what the definitions are? How often is the data sources refreshed? Who owns those data sources? And then basically one of the key recommendations we worked with them was to implement a data warehouse which brought all those data sources together. The reason that really helped, because what that meant was the data warehouse was being updated every couple of hours in the day from ERP, from HRM, for their operations as well, where they are, consistently projects are going live, new services are being delivered. So all of that was being basically consistently captured in that data warehouse. So that and that was a back end platform. So very early on in that process, very few people saw any benefit of the work that we were putting in. But this was where we were really laying the foundations of how the board pack and the performance management across the business was going to get optimized. Okay. And then we focused on, okay, now that we have got all the data that we need, essentially all the ingredients we need in the kitchen to make the curry that we need to make, then we were focused a lot more on basically process optimization in terms of how long does it take for them to input data into their source systems. Okay, how often do we need to refresh the data in the data warehouse? Uh, what is the frequency of basically the board pack, and therefore all the supporting management packs? Because remember, a board pack was something obviously which was going to the CEO and the board of directors at the PE house. But the reality is that to be able to deliver a good quality work there, you need all your management packs for, because they were across the world. So like a management pack for Australia, management pack for Middle East, management pack for Europe, management pack for UK, and all of those, and again, vertical management packs for operational director, global operational director, global marketing and sales director, things like that. So all of those kind of landscape and process was understood, that what are the supporting processes which help create a really good board deck for themselves. And as once we were very clear with that, that's the time when we started talking about, okay, now how do we deliver all of this? What is the technology we need? Do we need a full EPM solution? Do we just need Power BI, or what do we need? Obviously, in their particular case, in this particular case, given their requirements, we were able to deliver all the value that we needed to deliver with just Power BI. We did not need a EPM or a proper budgeting solution as such. But that's the assessment at that point. So we basically understood what our requirements were, what is our data environment, and what the skill set across the business and things like that before we went into the technology conversation. And what that did, and we will see that at the end of this webinar as well, that gave them time back. So if you remember, they started with basically more than 7 days to make a board deck, right? So we basically reduced that to such an extent, and I'll not give you a number just yet of how long it took them, uh, gave them a lot more time to be strategic finance business partners, because their FP&A and the process of board deck and performance management packs was all effective now and efficient. So effective is basically here where you are choosing the right KPIs, you're choosing what metrics you want to measure and what do you want to talk about, how does it align to your business strategy and things like that. And then efficient by using technology to make sure that, okay, now I know what answers I want, how do I get there faster? So that's the marriage which we made happen essentially. Uh, okay. The tech stack, which basically, and this is a recommendation I make on every webinar. Anybody who has attended my previous webinar, they would have seen this slide in every webinar that I talk about. This can be applied to a 100 million company, to a 10 million company. We are currently implementing the same data structure for a 15 million company as well. So there is really no arguments or no basically excuses to say, oh, but we are too small for this. So all businesses will have an accounting system. They will have timesheets. They will have some sort of HRM, some sort of CRM, some sort of, maybe invoicing systems and things like that. The recommendation always is puts a layer which brings that together. Okay. Today, especially with Fabric, it's a game changer product from Microsoft. For the 16 million business which we have just implemented this for, the cost is like £4,500 per annum. I mean, respectfully, even for a 16 million pound business, £4,500 was no problem. I mean, it's not even a conversation. Plus, you get a ownership of all your data because you've now got it on your own data warehouse, essentially. From that, we then took in case of LOD, we only worked on this vertical of business intelligence where all the data was now going into basically Power BI. But obviously, if you are going into the planning transformation, then that is a separate conversation. What that enables always, it gives you a strategic view, gives you efficient month end, your reporting and analytics becomes more important. You have more time for analytics. Performance management becomes automated. Okay. And if you are going to go into EPM, then it helps you obviously with the last three as well in terms of driver-based budgeting, scenario planning, and what if analysis. Uh, yeah. So what? Okay. So if I now start going into the demo side of things, any questions so far? Anybody would like to know anything before I go into the live demo for Power BI? Any curiosity? Nope.
I
You
just
can
had a
unmute.
question.
Sure, Jonathan.
So
Yes,
just
please.
generally for these kind of projects, what amount of the level of effort or cost do you estimate is kind of focused really on optimizing that back end and building that data warehouse and getting the data to flow into it versus like them using Power BI to build the dashboards and create all that? What's the kind of percent breakdown?
So if I'm going to be really frank and honest, the reality is the biggest hard work is always going to be at the back end. So it is more almost the 60% effort and time consuming part is the back end, because the front end with once you have the data organized correctly to make a Power BI reports out of it, 2 weeks, three, again depends on the number of reports, but like 2 or 3 weeks are more than enough to do that. But if you don't have your back end organized correctly, then your front end will take forever.
Makes sense. Thank you.
So today I'm going to talk about 3 methods of digitalizing your board packs. For those who have not seen Power BI before this, and you're seeing it for the first time, this is basically Power BI in the services environment, where on the left hand side, again, normally when people open Power BI, I don't know if you have seen this view, you get a list of this, but this is very confusing for me because this doesn't tell me anything. So I always prefer this lineage view on the top left hand side, where on the left hand side you can see all my data sources, and as it says clearly, data can come from Excel, though I don't recommend it. I still recommend the data warehouse approach, which I spoke of on this slide deck. But obviously, because the current what I'm sharing with you is a demo environment, therefore all my data sources are Excel because they are static. It's when your data sources are dynamic in terms of they change every day, every hour, every minute, then this data warehouse structure makes a lot more sense. You can also have direct connectors, but that's a whole different conversation. Okay, so on left hand side, what you have got is all your data sources. This semantic model, as you can read, is the critical data modeling that is done within Power BI, and what you get output is a report. Okay, the 3 reports I would like to show you today is first is this one. So this is a management pack essentially for management insights. Again, it is based on dummy data, but the point to note is like you can shift stuff around and look at, so for example, last year, Q2 I want to see Q3, I want to see the previous year or whatever. It is very, very live. You can have automated, basically waterfall charts and things like that. Tejas, this is too small for us. We can't see this very clearly. Okay, you can make it, focused. I think this one doesn't have data labels. Can I add a data label to this one? Let me see if I can easily add a data label to this. Visualization. Sorry, I'm doing this live. I apologize. I should have done this previously. Legend data label. There we go. Literally, as you see, how difficult was for me to do this. Okay, now I put data label. So now you can see every data point across for current last year and current year. Right. This is a very basic page which I'm trying to show you, and I'm trying to talk about here. What I'm trying to talk about here is much more around basically the fact that once you have your KPIs identified, you can actually make something like this at a relatively quick pace, as long as your backend data is organized. Okay. Something more advanced than this, what I'd like to show you is this one. And this is again my personal favorite because The P&L is very, very straightforward. It's a straight, simple P&L. A 5 or 7 line P&L is what I generally recommend most of the people that I work with. Because I'm like, you know what? Don't make your P&L too complicated. Make your P&L very, very simple, and then have other bits and pieces to supplement that P&L. Okay, so here I've got revenue, a basic P&L. As you can see, it's on a YTD context, which is year to date. I can make it month to date. So now you've got a monthly number for May 2007. Okay, I can make it quarter to date. It'll change the numbers. I mean, it's literally okay. Tejas, what's my number for revenue for last year for May? Okay, go back here. Done. If I make sense again, at this minute, I don't have in this particular table, I don't have versus prior year, but you could easily add versus prior year as well, and prior year numbers in there as well. The point I'm trying to make is with a system like this, you can even give access to your basically different division heads, your business unit heads. Let them do those analysis on their own. Instead of finance basically owning the data and them coming to you every time, oh, what about this? What did my department do last year? They can own their data on their own. And again, and this is where then we have broken down the OPEX. This is all sample data. This is OPEX broken down by basically department, and this is OPEX broken down by basically cost nature, essentially, right? And this is your basically by organization. The beauty of Power BI, for example, is 394,000 for R&D. What are they spending this kind of money on? I click on it, 324,000. Oh, I know their biggest expense is labor, then the commission, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, but what is R&D and corporate doing together? Okay. I clicked control on my keyboard. Now both of them combined is 765. Sorry, 324 plus 300 is 633. There you go. I've got 633 there. Tells me what is going on. If I want to, in fact, combine these two with Northwest Division, Northeast Division, or Southeast Division, now the number is filtered for just Southwest Division, R&D department, and corporate department, if that kind of makes sense. So you can do these analytics on the go, and you can still do your QTD, MTD, YTD on these numbers, for example. Okay. It's not just about a pivot table. I know, obviously, I love Excel and I love pivot tables as well, but this is a lot more interactive of you can work at the speed of your thought. Okay, and your board deck can be entirely set up like this, where it can basically have all your graphs, tables, charts, everything in there. Does that kind of make sense? Does that resonate at all, or am I just completely, talking off? Does that strike anything for anybody? Okay, let's come back to that. So another way of doing this is now a proper board pack, right? Where you have your title, you have different pages in there. You can have your income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, age debtors, revenue insights, everything else. You click a button, you land up on your revenue page. Again, this is all sample data. So I would really take it in a perspective of what it is trying to show you, rather than limitation of basically, oh, this is by distributor or this is by revenue and COGS and things like that. Okay, yes, this one took, for example, a couple of seconds. Now this took a couple of seconds because, as you can see, revenue is broken down here, which is what the point I was trying to make earlier, that is not what I like to do. It makes it slower a little bit, a few seconds, as compared to if you put it in a structured manner. Okay. So this, for example, is my P&L. I can go on to my balance sheet. I can have some KPIs I want in there. I want to open this up. Now this is going to the cash and inventory level. I can go to the GL account level. Okay. I can go to the cost center level if I really chose to. Okay. So this could be that powerful. And remember, this is being fed by this mechanism, and it is updated automatically. So no human is trying to, put a whole bunch of Excel books together and then refresh something and things like that. No manual effort. Okay, if this is attached correctly with this kind of a data structure around it, okay, sorry, this kind of a data structure around it, the beauty what you would get is basically that data from your ERP or your accounting or these systems will directly flow automatically into a data lake, will directly go into Power BI on its own. It can be refreshed multiple times a day on an automatic basis, which means even during month end. That is the reason why I say that it helps you during month end, because one of the other clients that I worked this with, their month end days got reduced by 2, because what happened is they could consistently see the consolidated numbers. They could therefore see, oh, my accruals are left, my prepayments is left, or whatever, my depreciation entry is yet to go through, my basically salary entry is yet to go through, things like that. So because of they were able to see that on an ongoing basis without having to export, they were on Business Central, so without having to constantly export stuff from Business Central into Excel and then massage the pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and everything else for them to be able to see the numbers. This was just happening every couple of hours. So couple of hours they're doing the journal entry, their month-end activity. They know, okay, 4 o'clock, this is going to refresh. They come back at 4:15, they have a quick look at it. Okay, how far am I? I'm happy with these numbers, I'm not happy with this position. Bang, go on. Okay, so that is the art of the possible. Again, you can have a cash flow in there, you can have aged debtors. Again, aged debtors can go right down to invoice number level detail essentially. Okay, so this is again the art of the possible in terms of what you can have in your board pack in a digital environment. Okay, does that kind of help people? There is a reaction option on this on basically React is a button down there. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Does that make sense? No, yes. If you're shy, it's okay. You can do thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, cool. At least some thumbs up makes sense, right? So this is the art of the possible. The only caveat with this one is the problem that you cannot write commentary. And that was a big, basically, challenge which we had with lawyers on demand as well. They were not very happy with this because they were like, yeah, but I can't write commentary. I want to be able to write stuff on it. Okay. This is what most people don't know, but you can. Yes, there we go, Rose. Thank you so much, Rose. So what we did for them is came back to Excel. Okay. We made them basically a finance deck. Again, this is a very short deck and this is only made actually for this presentation, this webinar today, but this is just for your understanding. This, if you will see, has got a bunch of cube formulae in there, which is not a normal. This is not normal, basically, your Excel formula. This is connecting this data set directly to Power BI. What is the advantage? As soon as my Power BI, so okay, I reviewed my numbers in Power BI, I'm happy with my numbers in Power BI. Okay, I come here, I press refresh, it changes. Okay, I'll show you how long it takes. Okay, May, for example, May, where is June? June 2007. Okay, you see it's running in the background. So it's going and getting data, as you can see. Hope it doesn't fall on me. There you go. I was hoping it doesn't fall on me, but it did. Let's see. So it's going to basically what Excel is doing is going to Power BI and retrieving the data from Power BI. I am not manually doing any work. It's just going to do this. This is all set up on its own. That is the beauty of this kind of a setup. Come on, you can do this. There you go. So now I've got my next month's data. So now imagine my basically board deck is how long does my board deck take to get ready? Right? Again, I have got graphs here. Your waterfall is there. I've got stuff. I can now obviously have a comments box on the right if I wanted to. All of those kind of things. I can put whatever I like. And this one I specifically wanted to get done because this basically kind of starts to give you an option of, okay, for example, corporate. Where is the other one gone? Yeah. I thought I had fixed this. Okay. So you get the option of, for example, changing even your divisions. So now this is for Germany, this is for France. So you can make a very interactive Excel book, for example, which can help you do your board deck in a matter of seconds. This can be set up, as you can see, I can have all my dimensions set up like this, and therefore I can actually start, making, there we go, depreciation, for example. So I can do these kind of things in a very interactive manner. This can be designed exactly based on how you would like your board deck to be set up. The point I'm trying to make here in this, even in this Excel piece, is yes, it is in Excel, and I am not a big fan in terms of an Excel element of it, but because it is connected to Power BI, it is got minimal, if any, physical effort to it. As you saw, for me to move from May to June numbers, it took me like what, a matter of seconds to do that. And that is the point, right? So how long would it take you to do your board deck? It would take you a matter of seconds to change the month in the front. The rest of it will just start working on its own. Sorry, I have a bunch of questions. Is this a separate standalone platform? For example, Sage Intacct, QuickBooks. Yes, so Sage Intacct and QuickBooks are your accounting software or your ERP, whereas Power BI is a Microsoft product, which is a standalone software. Okay, would this platform for your board or other reporting additions go to other platforms? Yes, this is an addition to your other platforms. You can again share direct access to these reports with people. You can control access in terms of, for example, let me give you an example of this one. So I can make sure that the sales and marketing team only see their numbers and nothing else. Okay, so you can actually have role-based control on it so that you can even share these dashboards with other people and they can only see their numbers, which is exactly what we did with Lawyers on Demand, so that they can roll up their performance management by division on an automated basis. And then basically that group is just consolidating that commentary and things like that. For example, how long would implementation take for a 5-office medical facility? It is not about how big, how many office facilities you have. It's about how many KPIs are you looking at, how many data sources you have, how long is your board. Is it only the board deck you're looking at, or are you looking at performance management across the board? Because once you start implementing this stuff, you should be implementing this almost across the board in finance, in almost every walk across your business, so that your business actually becomes much more digital. But yes, if you do only Power BI, as I said, Power BI takes between 2 to 4 weeks. But if you do it with a data warehouse, then it's a little bit longer. So it all depends on how many data sources you have. What if your board deck is very simple, like a Word document that takes 1 or 2 days to prepare, very low intensity? Then this isn't very good option. Yes. Question is, are you never going to grow, and are you always going to be of 1 or 2 days board deck conversation? That's number one. Number two, even in that scenario, your board deck is still static. You are not able to do analysis around it. You are not able to interrogate the numbers and things like that. That is still a separated activity, right? So when you're trying to put commentary, you're still putting commentary based on manual effort elsewhere. So that's what I'd urge to think in terms of your growth plans, and in terms of basically how much time does it take you to prepare analysis for your insights. How did you create APIs to automatically update data lake? Is that a part of Fabric? Yes, so Fabric, again, is a Microsoft product. Most modern software, like if I go back to the previous question, your QuickBooks, Sage Intacct, your Dynamics, Business Central, SAP, Oracle, all of them have got direct APIs which have got APIs which go into basically Fabric. They actually have got APIs which directly go into Power BI as well. One of the key reasons why I recommend a data warehouse in the middle is only because I have had at least 5 clients who have lost their historical data. Okay, so for example, they moved from Sage to Business Central. Okay, all they moved across is the trial balance at the cutoff date. What that means is you have lost your transaction level detail for in your previous ERP, and now Sage is only giving them access to that data via a stupid Excel add-in and a Power Pivot, or asking them for thousands of pounds for them to be able to access their own data. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. I've had 5 different clients. It's not just Sage, QuickBooks. Or this is respectfully, unfortunately, the practice across the industry in terms of accounting and ERP softwares, and not just ERP softwares. I've seen that across project management softwares. One of my other clients is a care home. Even their customer data was basically held to ransom like that. So by putting your own data lake or a fabric environment, the advantage you get is you now have ownership of your own data in your own workspace. That is a bigger advantage of having your own data warehouse, even more than what Power BI needs. Power BI could directly connect to QuickBooks, Sage, Oracle, SAP, Business Central, Dynamics, all of those. So more than basically just the question of data warehouse for Power BI, the data warehouse is much more of the question of, do you own your data? That's the conversation to have. Okay. One of the limitations, obviously, as you highlighted, was that you are not able to put insights in there. So yes, at that time, and I will be honest, we did do the Excel leg of it, but now I have now discovered basically Aim Plan, which cost a little bit extra. It is an add-on into Power BI. What that does is, this is an Aim Plan P&L. Okay, so now I have got a P&L at GL account level, for example, but here I have got at cost nature level. I can have a calculation in middle. I can do here I have got result per cost center, net profit per cost center, for example. So I can design this vertical however I like. I couldn't do that in a normal Power BI. A normal Power BI would have looked like this. Plus, the biggest advantage is I can write commentary. Okay. So for example, this is an add-on in Power BI, just to be very clear. So for example, when I have selected these two cost centers for 2025 for this demo company, for that scenario, now I'm going to write a test stages comment. Okay. And I'm going to save this comment into the system. Now, if I go to any other, for example, cost center, you can't see that comment. Okay. Even if I select one of them, you can't see that comment. But when I select both of them, that comment should hopefully come back. Come on, little one. There you go. Because that comment is attached to the Stockholm cost center. So they just test comment, which means you can now start writing commentary within Power BI. That's the first advantage. Okay. Second advantage, if you focus on these numbers here on the right hand side, okay, I have selected 1021K. I have got the breakdown of what does that make up. Okay. If I go to operational cost, 7625, it gives me full breakdown of rent, office cost, blah, 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 blah. In theory, or electricity cost, there is a link here of a demo invoice. So in theory, I could even get my invoice attached to my Aim Plan instance, which means I can get all of that just right here. Okay. So imagine now you are sitting in a board meeting, or you're sitting in with your CFO or CEO for a review or things like that. You are not having to go back to them and say, oh, I will have to look at what that is made up of. It's right here. It's right there for you. In a matter of seconds, you can look at the invoice level detail around it. So like consultant fees, 274K. These are all sample invoices. This is basically, Swedish. So, but it's a principle that we are trying to get across. Does that kind of make sense? So now with Power BI as well, you've got add-ons like this, which not only means you can do it in Excel, but you can do it completely in Power BI if you chose to. Okay. And then you can have basically, versus plan, for example, you can have, KPIs in there. There is an element where basically in Aim Plan for smaller businesses, like the current business where we are implementing this, they are a 16 million turnover care home. We are using Aim Plan to even do their forecasting for them. So you can do your OPEX forecasting, you can do your revenue forecasting, things like that in systems like this, which means they are now not the entire forecasting process is not centered around finance. CEOs, the care home managers, everybody's getting involved in the forecasting process, which is what the point was. And now finance is becoming the reviewer, the analytical brain, asking question. Oh, you put this assumption. Why did you put this assumption? What makes you think that? All those kind of conversations, which is what I believe the value where finance brings, rather than finance basically doing all the numbers by themselves in a closed office, essentially. So basically, I promise 3 ways how you can do your board deck digitally. One is obviously go completely digital like this. Obviously, the shortcoming with this one is commentary. There is a way you could put some commentary in there, but it is very limited. Second method I shared is this one, which is where you can basically get your board deck via Power BI into Excel, which gives you free space to write commentary. And the third now, the latest technology basically is an add-on in Power BI, which is Aim Plan, which means that you should be able to even write your commentary or write your updates and everything within the Power BI environment. Does that kind of make sense? Yes, no? Reactions, please. No? Perfect. If I'm going to go back to my presentation, okay, so I've given the 3 methodologies for utilizing your board packs. And again, don't limit this imagination at board packs only. Think your board packs, think your functional reporting packs, think your divisional reporting packs. Any analytical basically reports that you have, even your Power Pivot. So if I go back, sorry, just for 1 second into the Excel, I have a pivot table which is connected to that Power BI. So even if I am an Excel lover and I'm never going to let go of my pivot table in my life, this is a pivot table which is now connected to Power BI. Which means, yes, I'm doing the same Power BI work, but basically I am now doing it in a manner which means I don't have to prepare the data, download the data, do VLOOKUPs on it, maintain basically my hierarchy in Excel for cost center, for GL accounts, things like that. This is a company-wide, which accounts are classified as revenue, which accounts are classified as cost centers, which accounts are classified as OPEX, which accounts are classified as salaries and things like that. It's all standardized. It just creates consistency across the business. Okay, so even for people who say, I will never let go of my Excel, yes, don't let go of it. Then use at least Power BI as the place where you can prepare this analytical area for you to be able to do this, if that kind of helps. So I've done the 3 methodologies. Okay. So exactly what I said, we talked to the stakeholders, we identified all the key sources, mapped end-to-end process for coverage, implemented Power BI. Okay. Can anybody venture to take a guess? How long did it take them in the new world to do? Can anybody take a guess? How long did it take them in the new world to basically do their their board decks? Any guesses?
I'll guess 2 days.
Well, the board deck was ready in basically 2 minutes. As soon as the month end is over, they used to go and refresh the Power BI and refresh the Excel. All your numbers, graphs, charts, everything is ready. You're done. Now they're spending 2 days doing commentary and insights. So previously their comments used to be like revenue is up by 5% or cost is down by 2% or things like that. In the new world, now they're spending 1.5 day or 2 days. Revenue is up because of this or down because of that. And this is the action for the next month or the next quarter and things like that. So the commentary and the insights actually became insightful and they started getting compliments from the board. They're like, your board deck started to make sense. What happened? But board deck started to make sense because basically they are now not spending, running around like headless chickens, essentially. Okay. Plus all the errors of they were doing 30 days average, 90 days running average and things like that. All of those were always accurate, no problems at all. Okay. So We also found missing invoices because when we started looking at the data for their basically operations team, we started realizing that we had, invoicing, a couple of missing months, then again invoicing. And those months never got invoiced. I'm like, what happened there? Did we stop a project and restart it? Can somebody just check? And then they started running around checks like that, and they realized, oh my God, we have got 1 million plus of missing invoices. Right. This is the difference it can make because you are not running behind data and cleansing of data, and therefore you have time for analyzing that, which I think is what, uh, I would like to quote the director, the Australian director. She made my day that day. She was like, Tejas, you've actually given 2 weeks of my life back. These were her words. I was so happy when I heard that. I still smile when I think about it. But that's what it was. She got her 2 weeks of her life back. It took her like half a day or a 1 day to basically write commentary. Everybody else did their job and it just worked. It was a lot less painful of a process. And therefore, this is the basically feedback I got from them as when we delivered this as well, because these kind of things actually help make your stakeholders and your business, you know, focus on the right things, which is now what is important for the business. Okay, it's not the Excel model which adds value to the business. It is the insights and the analysis which adds value to the business. So that's what we should be spending a lot more of our time on. Do I have more? Yes. I mean, as a part of this, only for basically space people, if you have registered yourself for this webinar, uh, even if you have not attended, basically, if you want a free strategy session, I will sit down with you for 1 hour. We can have a conversation to help you identify what your data sources are, what your KPIs are, how, what is the thoughts around efficiency, and even think about, okay, what are the best solutions you could work with, because I'm not married to Power BI or Fabric or to anything. The idea is focus on how can we create better value for yourselves, right, and make your finance function as automated and digital as possible. Any questions?
So I want to encourage everybody to put any questions they have in the chat feature, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask Tejas the questions directly. But in the meantime, you might have touched on this a little bit before. What size company would this approach be useful for?
So Power BI cost between $10 to $12 per user per month. Okay, the basic version is free with your Microsoft 365. But basically, if you try to do a little bit more business-wide implementation, it's like $10 or $12 per person per month. Respectfully, most businesses would be able to afford that, is what I would think. Okay, the smallest business where I have implemented this is their turnover was around 14 million pounds. So that's my experience, though. That's only limited by my experience.
And so there was a previous question. If the board deck's very simple, like a Word document, it only takes a day or two to prepare with low intensity, would this still be a good option to pursue?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I covered that one, where basically I was saying that yes, if your board deck is 1 or 2 days, maybe it's a conversation to still have, but think about the culture in your business. You're still manually preparing it. Do you have enough time for analysis? You're still doing an analysis in Excel somewhere else. Okay, which means you're still doing your data work somewhere else. Whereas, and you still don't own your data. Most people will be surprised, but you don't own your data in your business. The minute you let go of your basically ERP provider or your CRM provider, they will take the data with them. They will not give you access to that data. So you've lost that data.
There are specific types of ERP systems that this approach would be better with or compatible with?
Most modern basically ERP systems will work with this approach unless you've got something which is 30 years old and anarchic. In that scenario, I'd say 2 steps. One, back up that system on a on a cloud data warehouse, and then replace that one because it's too old for you to use in today's day age and time. But yeah.
Hi,
That would be.
this is Ilya Ilyenko. I'm not sure. Am I coming through okay?
Yes, Ilya, you are.
Yes. My question was, so if our board meets once a quarter, would we be relying on Power BI once a quarter, or would we be using it for additional reporting as we see fit within the organization?
You can use Power BI to, as you see fit within your organization to report. I have given you an example from a finance standpoint. Power BI can do reporting on your basically operational KPIs, on your sales CRM KPIs, on whatever you need. With a 12-pound license, which I am talking about, you can refresh it, I think 6 or 12 times a day, meaning every 2 hours or every 1 hour, you can refresh that Power BI in a 24-hour day. So you're not limited to once a quarter.
So this would not be a substitute for an ongoing ERP platform. So for example, if a business is scaling and they are growing and it's time for them to switch from QuickBooks to something more robust, instead of going to something more robust, they can then use this opportunity to integrate Power BI and move forward this way. By the way, great presentation, Tejas.
Thank you, Ilya. So first of all, Power BI is a reporting dashboarding solution. It's not an accounting solution. So when you move from QuickBooks, for example, to NetSuite or to, I don't know, Business Central or Sage or whatever you are choosing to move to, Power BI is your constant front end, which will remain the same. And that is the reason why, again, I'm sorry if I sound repetitive. You are on QuickBooks. You took QuickBooks out, you put Sage in there, or you put Business Central in there. The data still goes into your data warehouse, and your front end clientele within your business, which is your directors, your business leaders, all your functional teams, they are on Power BI. They don't see any difference in the front end, which means it's less disruptive for them.
Yes, you and Ref gave a great presentation. Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can bring you guys up on my front screen. Any more questions? Any system related questions, KPI related questions, anything that people would like to know?
So I think there are no more questions. So thank you, Tejas, for that very interesting and informative presentation on transforming FP&A with Power BI. We all learned a lot, I'm sure. I'd like to encourage everyone to keep an eye on the Profitability Analytics Center of Excellence channel on LinkedIn for information on future PACE webinars. You can find more about their scheduling, their topics, and their speakers on our channel. Thanks to everyone for attending and participating in this webinar today. And I'd like, if you haven't already, to encourage everyone to become a member of PACE. It's free. You'll get access to our many varied resources that we have out there. And you can do that on profitability-analytics.org. So again, thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you next time on our next PACE webinar. Have a great day.